You have to respect about the Knicks. You have to put them away every single possession. You can't leave anything to effing chance with that team ever. That's what they do. What they have is a will to win.
All
right, my fellow Knicks fans, we back. As I promised, we're going to do a deeper dive into some of the heroics of Game 4, what led up to it, with the Spurs offense just kind of being in sync in that first half, dropping 76 points, and then them completely disappearing in that second half. As the Knicks, we're going to see the adjustments that were made on the defensive side from going from games 2, 3, and 4, and how the Spurs themselves also adjusted. And like I said, in this segment, it's going to be a nice mixed bag, as we'll hear from a few Knick members that were in the arena and some of the dynamics that they were seeing on the court. Also, we'll hop in that time machine and take a look at how Victor Wembanyama is not quite ready yet, as his peers in the finals have actually dominated in the paint, just make their presence more intentional, more known. We're able just to use their size. So once again, this is going to be a nice mixed bag in this segment. Now, in the first half, the Spurs did a good job anytime Victor Wembanyama was involved in these pick and rolls, because we've seen how this Knicks defense is going to react, try to clog the paint and to dare the Spurs shooters to actually make their shots. And it was up to Castle, or even if Dylan Harper was coming off this pick, same thing for Fox, to actually make the proper reads and to kick out to players. But this was never going to be as consistent with guys making these type of shots. That's the interesting thing about the Spurs. They're not necessarily a half-court offensive team. They get more of their points in transition off of teams' turnovers. But once again, Wemby right here in a pick and roll, this Knicks team is going to stunt in a lot more. They know that. So now we're going to see some of the adjustments they make. Wemby's going to ghost this screen. Guys are still pulling in. You see, they want to get in Wemby's way. And it's up to guys like Castle to make the proper reads and hit guys with passes for open threes. So hopping right back into Game 4, as we see the Spurs, they're starting to do these counters with these double screens. But Wemby, this time around, he's going to roll early and be a screener for OG to allow Castle to go downhill and to make the proper reads. Look at Wemby, gets right in OG's way, and it's up to Castle right here to make the proper reads. Either if he has enough breathing room to go downhill or to kick out to the open shooter. And this is where the Spurs, they're not necessarily consistent in making these kind of shots. Again, right now we're seeing some of the early layers that this Knicks defense was dealing with, as they were the catalyst for this comeback. Again, one more time, this is the look the Knicks defense gave the Spurs anytime Wemby was going to set a pick and roll right here. Look at the attention from the Knicks players. They're going to stunt in very hard. You see Bridges? So it's up to Vessel to attack Bridges' closeout or pull up for three. But we all know with the Spurs, their three-point shooting is not as consistent. So they're going to look to take advantage of this by attacking these closeouts. How quickly Bridges closes out. This is what's not going to show up in the stat sheet about Bridges. He's done a great job all season long. It's been fairly consistent for just covering so much of the floor defensively. Now jumping into Game 3, here's another layer this Knicks defense had to deal with. The Spurs started using an additional guard to kind of screen Karl-Anthony Towns while Wemby set screens. See right here, Vessel on Towns. So now Wemby gets the roll and gets an open lane, or could just attack a mismatch. And there's also going to be corner three-point shooters available to even attack closeouts. So the Spurs gave themselves some options here. Jumping right back into Game 4, the Knicks are anticipating these screens a lot more since it completely worked for the Spurs in Game 3. Check out Champagnie on Karl-Anthony Towns. See, he's trying to screen him. Now, Wemby's going to roll, but Cat expects this. The Knicks do a good job right here on recovering. But the Spurs are still able to generate an open look. But the real question throughout this series is, how consistent can they knock those down? Again, this worked really well for the Spurs in Game 3. As you're going to see, Champagnie once again trying to screen Karl-Anthony Towns. And this time around, it does a really good job of just keeping Cat out of the paint, so the Spurs guards could just, attack it with ease. Like right here, Karl-Anthony Towns never necessarily gets into the paint. Wemby knows how he's backtracking. He's pulling Cat away, so guys can just attack JB on this mismatch right here with the speedy Fox. Again, jumping right back into game 4, this is how they were able to just generate all these open looks. Look at Champagne right here. He's going to screen Cat once again. And they're going to get another open 3, this time Harper. Again, with this Spurs team, it was like a 12-round boxing match in which this Knicks defense slowly got in a lot of gut punches. We've seen anytime Wemby on the roll, guys were able to hit him right in the chest and just get in his way. And Wemby throughout the regular season, he's only averaged 29 minutes per game. I'm always saying he kind of got that KP stamina, that Porzingis stamina, where you're not sure if he can go the full 35 to high 38 minutes a game without tiring out. Because in these finals, not only he was responsible for getting his teammates open shots, just being involved real early in these actions, but on the defensive end for the Spurs, as we'll see later on in this segment, the Knicks made sure that they pulled him up and involved him to cover a lot of the areas around the court. So it was like a slow burnout. Once again, the Spurs scored 76 points in the first half just to only have 30 in the second. Also in game 4 in the second half, the Knicks forced Wemby to come out of the paint, just play out in the perimeter 18 times. So that was putting him to work defensively to cover a lot of areas on the floor. But right here, he's going to try to get, I believe this is Johnson right here, to switch to deal with Brunson coming off this pick. But this is part of that burnout with Victor Wembanyama, just having him exude more energy on the defensive end. And just looking at it one more time, anyone that's on Victor, like Josh Hart right here, he's going to set the screen for Brunson in order to bring Wemby up, or just force the Spurs into a compromising situation where they're going to have to play Brunson coming off this pick. So a little miscommunication right here. Someone's not really necessarily stepping up, and the Knicks get an open look. Again, all this is a part of the process of just slowing Wemby down, and it is going to affect the defense and just make them easier to cover, especially heading into crunch time where he really couldn't dominate in the paint, and at times showed that he definitely looked fatigued. Again, we're in the second half of game 4. Notice Mikal has Wemby on him. He's going to try to bring him up right away, and Cat is the one that's going to set the screen on Wemby. Again, this is the gut punch to the San Antonio Spurs, especially Victor Wembanyama. As JB, once again, another great look coming off the pick. You know, sometimes with Josh Hart, teams have him in no man's land where he's kind of stuck in this middle place where if his three-point shot is not falling, they could actually have him just be non-effective. And in this case, he was able to screen anytime Wemby just completely dropped back and just stayed in the paint. Here's a perfect example of it here. Early in transition, get Wemby pointing. He wants guys to cover while he stays back. And look at Josh Hart. He's going to screen for OG right here. Forces Wemby to come out. There is multiple ways to skin a cat. And in this series, we see Mike Brown make that 2-point guard lineup adjustment to close out the game with Jose Alvarado and Jalen Brunson. And Jose was very cleverly able to pull Wemby out. There was a few times where he just came out of nowhere and just kind of forced Wemby to come right back out and just consistently getting that dribble penetration. Here's a perfect example right here. Josh Hart sets the screen, but check out Jose. Wemby's on him, but GTA Alvarado, man, he's always going behind these guys. And just check out Wemby now. Now he's forced to actually cover this action right here because now you got OG as a corner shooter. So if JB gets past Vessel, he's going to have to play it either way. So he chooses to stay with OG, and JB gets an easier look at the paint and draws the foul. That was a good thing about the Knicks, just having that extra week off. They got to see how other teams play Wemby, especially trying to leave him out of the paint from swatting shots. But right here, Caruso, instead of OKC running a pick and roll with the ball handler and just Wiggins right here, they quickly send it to Wiggins to run this dribble handoff. And now it forces Wemby's attention to stay right here. Coming off this pick, just dealing with a good shooter in the corner and just dealing with this action. And now Jalen Williams could roll right here. So there's multiple things for him to pay attention to. And now the paint opens up. But you also got Wemby completely distracted. I love this play right here. Karl Anthony Towns and Jose, they get a switch. Look at Karl Towns. He's going to come up. He's going to fake the screen right here. And now Jose pulls Wemby back up again. Wemby's going to have to play this. They're on the empty side. And look at Jose once again. Forces Wemby to keep moving. Mike Brown right there has to get a lot of praise for the lineup changes. He's for sure has some bright spots in this series where he showed that he's out coaching the Spurs at this moment. And make no mistake about it, my fellow Knicks fans, this is at the highest level. This is a well-coached team in the San Antonio Spurs, because look at right here. This Knicks team defense is going to play it great. Vessel making his run. And remember how earlier I said the Knicks, when Wemby is involved in the pick and roll, everybody stunts in. But look at Brunson right here. He has to make his run to the corner. So this is a second action right here. And now Wemby is rolling. OG tries to get in his way. And look at the recovery by the Knicks players right here. Spurs still get nothing out of it. This Knicks defense has kind of been the catalyst all series long. As check out JB right here. When Wemby comes off this roll, he's going to get in his way and kind of slow him down a little bit. And now it forces Castle to get rid of the ball when guys are not even open yet. And normally Wemby just rolling, he kind of serves as a screener. He would get in Mitch's way and allow Fox to go downhill. Nobody's open. Hopping right back into game 4, that Mike Brown defense, the discipline of it was questioned all year long. As right here, they run a second screen with Wemby, but except this time he ghosted. But we're going to see the discipline of this Knicks team defense. Josh Hart gets in Wemby's way. The Knicks kind of stunting a little bit more. Shooters are going to be available. And you're going to see the recovery by this team. Spurs get nothing out of it. Going back to game 3, we've seen the Spurs offensively do kind of a number thing on this Knicks team defense to kind of have them caught off guard. They're going to switch sides once again and quickly get into an action right here. But Mike Brown's Knicks defense has been quite disciplined, and I believe this has stunned a lot of media pundits throughout the NBA. They did not see this coming. Another thing that's playing out, because we are in a clickbait era when it comes to the NBA media, is how the fuck did they overlook how unpolished Wemby really is? The shot clock has reset. The Knicks are gaining momentum, and he's forcing up 2 3-point shots in just this one possession. Like, look at Wemby right here. It's like he's at practice. Now, right here, we hop into a time machine of game 1 of the 99 finals between the Knicks and the San Antonio Spurs. This right here is an issue for modern bigs today. They do not utilize their size. Wemby right now looks like a jump shooter that happens to be 7 foot. But just look at the difference between a real power forward / center that just utilizes their size. They're able to draw fouls and get easier buckets down low like this. Now, did any of you happen to notice in the Spurs home games, their announcers introduced Wemby as a forward?
And a 7'4" forward from France, #1, Victor Wembanyama.
Very strange, because like I said before, this small ball era of the NBA is beginning to end. And throughout this series, we've seen Wemby not necessarily look comfortable in the post. And when the game is on the line, just like how JB knows where he's going to get to his spots in the paint, Wemby doesn't look like that at all. Matter of fact, JB being 10 times smaller looks more comfortable in the paint getting into that mid-range. The Knicks, unlike the Oklahoma City Thunder, have much more size than Mitchell Robinson as well as Karl Anthony Towns, and they have a big who could stretch the floor. Another key element that kind of gets overlooked is the fact that both these teams only had 2 transition points in the second half. That is bad news for the San Antonio Spurs, because that is a good portion of their offensive identity. The Knicks transition defense was able to, I wouldn't necessarily say get a stop, but they were able to foul guys like Harper and Castle going to the hoop, and for the most part, they split the free throws. So this was one of the ways the Knicks were able to slowly chip away this lead. Also, let me say this. In the second half, the Spurs had 9 turnovers from all their guards. Dylan Harper with 3, Steven Castle with 2, and 4 from their veteran, De'Aaron Fox, who low-key kind of shot them out of this game. So now we're going to hear from a few people as part of this Knicks organization: Monica McNutt, Carmelo Anthony, Rasheed Wallace. as they elaborate on quite a few things that they seen play out on the court. OG Anunoby's second half defense, the Spurs not being intentional about playing with size, and finally, who right now would be runner-up for MVP? You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
I've seen a lot of basketball before. Yeah. I've never seen no shit like this before. Like finals, on the road, game 4, we can tie this up and we can got a chance to win this shit now. We get in the driver's seat. We up 30 comfortable. You nut on yourself like that? No, bro. Like, pardon the phrase, bro. Like, yo, no.
That was a hell of a phrase to use.
I'm just saying, like, yo, you smoked that?
Bro.
30?
What? Okay, yes.
No, forget what the Knicks did.
That's what I was about to say. Okay. Where are we at on the scale?
I'm San Antonio first.
Okay.
30.
That's crazy to give up.
With timeouts and successful challenges and momentum and the physicality of the game, is everything is going your way. You walking out of here saying, we're finishing this in 6. That's what the Spurs is walking out of here saying if they win that game.
27 in the second half, to be exact.
27 in the second half.
I can't talk, though.
No, but I know, but
we had ours when I was in Portland. We had ours. We was up 16. That was different, though. That was conference championships. It wasn't the final.
It was a game 4, Madison Square Garden, New York Knicks, San Antonio Spurs, Wemby, the greatest player in the game in the world, on Broadway.
But that's why, though. All of that.
No, the fans was out of it. The Garden was depleted.
Facts. Melo speaking facts. The fans were out of it. And the San Antonio Spurs, once again, like I pointed out earlier in the video, it's the small things that kind of serve like a small gut punch to a boxer. And then by the time you get to the 12th round, they were kind of faded out. You know, the missing of the layups, the transition points weren't there anymore. You know, the Wemby, the Knicks keep pulling him out 18 times in the second half. He's going to start to tire out. Remember, he only played 29 minutes per game throughout the regular season. And now in the playoffs, all of a sudden, his minutes are ratcheted up. So over time, you already know what it is.
Quiet, silence. I'm sitting there like, wow. Like, okay, we just going to get ready for game 5.
But then I think when they cut it to 19, because I remember Tyler said it, he was like, you would think it sounds like it's a 9-point game. And it was 19 still. So the fans woke up.
I told Camby and Marbury and Pat, if we get this shit to 12.
I was at 10.
If we get it to 12,
it's a new game.
It's a new game. Because that means
fuck all that. You get it to 15, it's a new game. This team, the San Antonio Spurs, they struggle with half-court offense. As long as the Knicks stay disciplined in that second half, no stupid passes, no fucked up turnovers, they had the Spurs right where they needed them.
Man, if we get this to 12, all the momentum is gone from San Antonio. They came out, shot an air ball, turnover.
3 threes in 7 seconds.
In 7 seconds.
I was bugging.
Going right back to that last play that we seen earlier with Wemby just taking those 3-point shots. That doesn't look like a polished MVP player, especially being 7'6" or whatever he is. Keep settling for just those outside shots is crazy.
Darren Fox, like, what are you doing? But thank you. But like, what are you doing?
That's that veteran shit though. Like, you know, somebody on that team on either side, if we not making shots, I'll be damned if y'all gonna make shots.
Yeah.
Got to put them down. We can't allow them to go on, what is it, like, what they going on, a 17-0 run or damn near something like that?
I don't think,
yo, we can't allow that, though.
That was the wild thing. I don't think there was like one big run. It was like, it was just chipping away at small little 7-0 runs.
But still, even with that, if I see you hitting shots and we not hitting no shot, nah, let's slow this down. I got the foul, you know. I ain't trying to hurt you. Ain't gonna be no slavery. But you won't feel my presence. No, you got to go to the line, out of bounds or something. I got to slow this momentum up that y'all on.
But that's a great fucking point. And
but it's a different
but they
era,
got
though.
one. So they got a Tar Heel over there who's usually the guy who settles shit down.
Yeah.
Harrison Barnes is the
Black
guy.
Falcon.
He settles everything down. When shit get to moving rowdy, he settles down. I don't know why he didn't play in that game on the road, knowing that you needed to settle your guys down. That was just a bad decision, I think, that was made. One of them that was made in that game.
Well, when we first talked about this series, that was the one thing that came up the most. It was like, they're super talented, but they're super young. Like, they're outside of Harrison Barnes.
Super young and had the motherfuckers up 30 in game 4. They don't have a closer. That's the difference.
Damn. Melo speaking facts right here. How the hell is Wemby an MVP candidate, but he's not even a closer, being 7'6" in the post? Like, this is crazy right here.
It's the same thing, honestly, sort of happened in game 1. The Spurs were shooting so well at halftime. They come out, they couldn't hit no more threes. The Knicks start rolling, getting points in the paint. And before you know it, it was a 4-point game with a chance to take the lead, or a 3-point game with a chance to take the lead.
Like,
somebody gotta get fired, dog.
You don't find a way to get Wemby the basketball as close as possible to the basket?
To be fair, he was launching from 3. He was part of that play.
Right, so you playing so fast, we don't slow this down and get Wemby. Even if you cut it from 30 to 22 to 18. Once they get to 18, 17, okay, timeout, Wemby get down there. We're going to play through you these next 7 minutes.
Let me ask y'all.
That's like, what are we doing?
That's too much like right. Or you can go with a cross series. Cross 5, no man. He could do what? Throw it to the rim. He's 9 million feet tall.
No, they were doing it in the first
Throw it to the rim. Easy drop. If they want to play that, okay, step up. Now I can got the little midi right there in the paint, or I can go to the block, get a post move, or I can go run out to the pick and roll and then pop or go to the hole. Yo, take advantage of his height. To me, it seemed like San Antonio didn't take advantage of.
Now, Rashid, right here, I would say this. This is the problem with the positionless basketball philosophy. The Spurs, all 3 of their guards had 9 turnovers in the second half. Dylan Harper 3, De'Aaron Fox 4, Castle 2. A lot of NBA players right now, including Anthony Edwards, we're about to find out if they could really kind of control the game, control the pace in the closing moments. Same thing goes for that point guard that's out there in Detroit. You know, there's a lot of guys that are trying to kind of play this combo role. They're trying to be like SGA, but not all of them are great decision makers like him. And also, we got to put Brunson in that same hat as SGA. You know, he's getting to his spots. He knows what he wants to do. And not every player in this positionless basketball era, you know, guys like Paolo Banchero, it's questionable if he could do it. You know, Cade Cunningham. You know, it took Jason Tatum a long time to get there, but these guys are not necessarily point guards. Everything Rasheed Wallace described right there sounds like a point guard that's going to get you the ball in position that kind of controls and settles the pace.
So, all of his abilities.
Agreed.
You know, they just let him stand out there and jack them threes up. Like, all right, young fella, you can shoot to be 7'4". I'm going to give you that. Tip my hat to you for that one. But, dog, at crunch time,
let's go.
yeah. Motherfucker, you got to be down low, yo. On them chop blocks.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think he got tired.
Yeah.
That's the big thing to me. I think he got tired. He played he played the whole 4th quarter in game 3. He had the energy. Because even if you go back to the Western Conference Series, he would get to his numbers because he's Wemby. But if you watched him, if he had a great game, the next game he looked like he was in mud. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think he just wore down late, was settling for threes. And again, you got to get the Knicks their credit.
Facts. You definitely do got to give the Knicks their credit. And once again, in that second half, they pulled Wemby up 18 times and forced him to play defense out there in the perimeter.
So I got a stat for y'all. I was looking for this. 30 points because OG had 33. And the go-ahead field goal in the final 30 seconds. The list he joins.
MJ
in 97. Olajuwon in 95. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in 74. And Jerry West in 62.
Damn.
That's a hell of a 5.
I'm saying.
All right, we see you, OG. God damn. Woo-wee. Yo, OG, I'm not going to lie. He's getting to an offensive bag that none of us really expected him to have. And my God, he is shining right now in these finals.
The MVP conversation on the finals, if the Knicks get it done, is going to be real interesting. Oof. The question is, if Brunson, Cat, and OG have career high performances in Game 5, who would be your finals MVP? Personally, I love that we're trying to figure, like, this is not an easy answer, because all of them have had.
That's an easy answer.
Oh, what's so easy?
It's gotta be JB.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky because JB, he's still elevating even though all the attention is on him. And he's elevating so much, it's making it easier for other players. But it is tricky, though, because the Spurs, defensively, they're playing A, B, C, D, all the way to Z is Jalen Brunson. They're trying to cut off the head of that snake.
Gotta be JB. Yeah. OG ain't kind of play great.
Because he's been carrying them cats for the longest.
If all three of them had career highs in Game 5, you still going for JB?
Yep.
If it was a fifth,
JB gets a career high,
because you know why?
he's getting 60 to we won by 4.
He carried the majority of that load to get them where they are.
That white hat is a lot different.
Yes.
JB.
Okay. The fourth quarter scoring.
That's my opinion. I would give it to JB.
Yeah. And I know it's been
With that being said,
yes.
Because when we left San Antonio, the thought was it was going to be Cat.
He's been great too.
OG has been the most
consistent. Yeah.
Steady, consistent guy.
And that's because of all the attention that JB is getting. Make no mistake about that. But JB is still elevating. And this Spurs defense around the perimeter is so good. They had SGA looking a kind of way. You know, a lot of media pundits and even SGA himself said that going into next offseason, he's going to have to rework some things. So JB, the fact that he's still hitting clutch points, you know, getting clutch shots off and still doing his thing, even though Castle, Vessel, all these guys are just stuck to his hip like glue.
In these finals.
And the Game 4 win.
Yeah.
That was the
efficient.
That was the series.
Efficient. He's effective on both ends of the floor. Offensively, defensively, made some great plays. Defensively, blocks, stops.
True.
Right? Forget the tipping.
The block.
That stop on Fox.
The block.
Was amazing. So now you put all of that together.
I think it's more to
think
about.
And then you look at his lines.
The numbers add up too. He's averaging what, 28?
Oh shit, OG at 35.
But Brunson's low-key averaging 30.
So that's me playing devil's advocate. But let's just be honest about this. It's JB.
It's JB's.
Wow, what the fuck are we talking about?
We got to give him the legacy. He needs that for the legacy, bro.
Okay. All right. I'm not. Listen.
That is the
OG. Disrespect the cat or OG. Like you said, they're playing phenomenal. Ain't no disrespect to them.
For sure not.
That's your closer.
But
it's hard for me.
Cat is out of the conversation because you can't have 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
Facts. Cat kind of messed it up after the first 2 games. He's not in that conversation anymore. But it goes to show you how Leon Rose has constructed a very nice Knicks team. Guys that not only complement each other, but they're also effective and still can get into their own individual bags. The NBA today, a lot of these teams that are competing now, they're lucky enough to get a first overall pick, etc. But the Knicks never had luck in the draft. This team is one of the most New York City teams that have ever been built, because it's piece by piece, brick by brick, and it goes to show you and the rest of the league that it is possible. You don't have to land on that first overall pick all the time.
Like you can't, you know what I mean? OG has been consistent across right? And then JB is consistent with bringing it home. Right. So
Game 4 was actually the first game that Cat has scored in the fourth at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Facts.
Right. Step back.
If OG would, it's like Andre Iguodala and Golden State.
And also Karl Anthony Towns, I believe in Game 4 in the fourth quarter, that was his first time scoring points within that quarter, which is crazy in the whole series.
Man.
Yeah, that type
and
of
it's hard for me to overlook those 2 game winners from JB on the road in those first 2 games. You know what I mean? Like, first one, I obviously remember that one, but even though he missed the second free throw, that was still the dub.
The steal, though, if you or whoever you want to credit.
There you go.
Wemby for the pass, JB for steal, whatever.
Gotta give it to him, man.
Hey, it is what it is. Mike Brown, I would say we're gonna have to give kudos to him because he has completely outcoached the San Antonio Spurs so far in this series, and that Jose Alvarado addition to close out, Game 4 was very pivotal, very, very pivotal. Who would have thought the kid from Brooklyn was able to help the Knicks kind of spark that energy in order to go up 3-1. He's really one of the main sparks in that fourth quarter. But we'll see how it plays out. Until next time, you fellas, stay safe. Peace.